The Circle of the Sea is a really fun druid subclass all about water and lightning, thunder, and in my opinion it's mainly a spellcaster. So let's go over it, we're going to go level by level, combat you on all the items you could need, so of course that starts us with the druid. Now this will give us at first level, when we get to the bottom here, druidic. So you know druidic, the secret land druids, which has unlocked the magic of communicating with animals. You always have the speak with animals skill prepared, which is incredible. Wisdom and intelligence saving throw proficiencies. We also gain proficiencies with simple weapons, light armor, shields. Now for cantrips here, I would suggest taking Shillelagh and Thorn Whip at first level. And then with this mod, we actually get a primal order. Now some of these are really cool, they just basically add cantrips to you. However, the Warden, you gain proficiency with martial weapons and medium armor, and I think this is a game changer, so we're going to take this. When it comes to ability points, we're going to have 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For proficiencies, take what fits your roleplay. At druid level 2 is where we unlock our specialization, we also gain our wild shapes and all that sort of stuff. But for this, the Circle of the Sea. You join the tempestuous forces of oceans and storms, allowing you to harness crashing waves and thunderous magic. Now as always, we get our wild shapes, as you can see here, but we also gain Wrath of the Sea. So using a bonus action and a wild shape charge, you can create a current of rushing water around you in a 2-meter radius that lasts for 10 turns. On your first turn you cast this, and then as a bonus action on subsequent turns, you can use a crushing wave on a target within the radius of the current. It will end early if you dismiss it, or become incapacitated, and this is awesome. We also gain Ray of Frost and Fog Cloud and Thunder Wave. Now for first level spells here, we are going to be taking Cure Wounds, Create or Destroy Water, Healing Word, Ice Knife, and Fairy Fire. These are the core ones. For some reason, for me, I feel like healing and water just go together, so we are taking a lot of this stuff. Druid level 3 brings our second level spells. We also gain some innate stuff, such as Shatter and Gust of Wind. For a spell here, we're going to take Spike Growth. I think this is awesome. Lasts for 100 turns, it halves movement for people walking over it, and they take 2 to 8 piercing damage. Druid level 4 brings our first feat. We also gain our Deep Wrath Wild Shape. Now for a cantrip here, we are going to come and take Frostbite. And then for your feat, you probably guessed it, but we are going to bump our Wisdom up to 18. And then we gain one more spell. For this one, I personally really like Heat Metal. A Druid level 5 brings Wild Strike, so you can now make an extra strike when you're in your wild shape form. We also gain Wild Resurgences, so we can spend a spell slot to regain a wild shape charge. Or we can spend a wild shape charge to regain a first level spell slot. We also, of course, gain some innate stuff, so we gain Sleet Storm and Lightning Bolt as always prepared spells. And we get to add some spells to our repertoire here, and for this we will be taking Tidal Wave, and we will be taking Cool Lightning. Druid level 6 brings another wild shape charge. We also gain our Panther and Owlbear forms, but we gain Aquatic Affinity. So the radius of our Wrath of the Seas, and that is that tidal thing we can form around us, is increased to 4 meters. In addition, while it is active, we ignore the effects of normal water, electrified water, and frozen surfaces. We gain one more spell here, and I would take Water Walk for use of outside of combat. Druid level 7 brings our 4th level spell slots. We also gain Ice Storm, and one of my favourite spells in the entire game, Edvard's Black Tentacles, as always prepared spells. Now we gain an Elemental Fury, and for these are really awesome. There is Potent Spellcasting, we add our Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with cantrips, or Primal Strike. On once of each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack using a weapon or an attack in wild shape, you can cause the target to take an extra 1 to 8 cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. We're taking this, we are being a melee combatant with spellcasting, so this makes the most sense. Now, for a spell here, we're going to take Conjure Woodland Being. The reason being is, not only do we get the Woodland Being, which is a Dryad, the Dryad has an ability to summon a Woodwode. So for one spell slot, you gain 2 summons. Druid level 8 brings our second feat, and for this, probably guessed it again, but Wisdom to 20. And then for a spell here, we are going to take Conjure Minor Elemental. We can obviously summon a water one. That's what we're going to go with. Druid level 9 unlocks our 5th level spell slots. Now, we also gain Hold Monster and Conjure Elemental. For spells here, we're going to take Mass Cure Wounds, and we're going to take the Cone of Cold. Druid level 10 brings Improved Wild Strikes. Now we can make 2 attacks as a 2 extra attacks in our wild shape form. We also gain Stormborn. So your Wrath of the Sea confers 2 additional benefits. You can fly a distance equal to your movement, and resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage. As you can see, level 10 is a huge power buff. We get another cantrip, and for this we'll take Guidance. And then for a spell here, we are going to take Contagion. Druid level 11 unlocks our 6th level spell slots. And for this one, we are going to start with one of the best spells in the game in my opinion, and that is Hero's Feast. Druid level 12 brings our final feat, and for this we are actually going to bump our dex up to 18, and you'll see why when we go over our equipment. We gain one more spell here, and because we only get one 6th level spell slot, it kind of doesn't matter, because we are going to be using Hero's Feast. But if you don't want to use Hero's Feast, I would suggest Sunbeam. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Hood of the Weave, a +2 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. The Cloak of Displacement, so this will activate at the beginning of our turn, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target us, and this lasts until we take damage. The Boots of Stormy Clamour, so when the wearer inflicts a condition upon a hostile creature, will also inflict 2 turns of Reverberation. The UNT Scale Mail, now the reason I've taken this is a +1 to initiative, but mostly because of exotic materials. Exotic materials means we add a full dexterity modifier to armor class. Now you could take the Armor of Agility, that has a base 17 armor class, and that would push us to 21 AC. However, I kind of feel like you're better using that for a more dex-based character. If you're not using a rogue hybrid or a ranger, and you have the Armor of Agility free, pop it on this one, absolutely. I just feel like if you do have one of those, it's best used on them. They will have a max dexterity more than likely, and then save this one for your druid. For gloves, the Gloves of Belligerent Skies, whenever we deal thunder, lightning, or radiant damage, will inflict 2 turns of Reverberation on the target. The Strange Conduit Ring, so while concentrating on a spell, our weapon attacks will deal an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. The Caustic Band, so we deal an additional 2 acid damage. The Moondrop Pendant, so if we have 50% hit points or less, we won't provoke opportunity attacks. The Lightning Jabber, this has lightning damage on its attacks. On a hit, we can possibly shock the target. We can also throw it for additional damage, but it doesn't come back to us, so bear that in mind. And then for a shield, take any shield you want that has either a good plus to your armor class or good abilities. Any will work here. Okay, as soon as you leave the combat, we are going to start summoning our summons. Wait, if I get my words out. And we're going to start with the Minor Elemental, and we're going to take the Ice Nymphs. Do this at the lowest level of level 4, save your spell slots. And there you go, we've got 2 little Ice Nymphs. Next thing for us to do is our Conjure Woodland Being. Again, do this at level 4. Get our Dryad. And with the Dryad, of course, as I said, they can summon their Fallen Lover, which is the Woodwode. And now in 2 spells, you've basically got a small army of people. To go on top of all of this, we are going to now Hero's Feast. So if I find Hero's Feast in my list just here, you'll see it also targets your summons. And everyone has just had a massive health boost. So now that we're set up after leaving camp for exploration, let's go find some combat and check this mod out. Okay, you can see we have started combat and we're actually top of the turn order alongside our rogue. So let's get in here, we're going to put ourselves right in the forefront of danger, and we're going to get our Wrath of the Sea going. And there you go, you see we instantly cause a reverberation. Now with our Wrath of the Sea, we know we can trigger this, so if we find it here, Crashing Wave, we can target enemies like this. Now they have to be within our wave, but if we target Skeeve here, unfortunately we had a big save. But it still means we can follow up with our weapon attack or a spell to land the Lightning Jabber, and then we can pick another damage type thanks to our Primal Strike, so let's do Thunder. And you'll see we have Shocking Grasp on him, Prone, Reverberation. Lots of awesome things within one sort of round. And of course, thanks to having our Wrath of the Sea, we can also fly now, so we could fly up here if we wanted to. And of course our Dryad can Shillelagh, and then we're just going to smack nice and hard. So you can really use these guys to sort of pick off other enemies. Now the ice mints are awesome as well because they can fly. So these guys are awesome for coming into the higher spots, distracting enemies. They can land their regular attacks. If they do actually land their regular attacks. We'll try that once again. We'll come up here. And we use our ice mints to distract these guys. And there you go, you see we deal normal and cold damage with every attack. And again, much like the Dryad, we can send our Woodwode in to cause some havoc. We'll send him over here. Now you see the Cloak of Displacement and our AC coming in amazing there with 2 big misses. So as you know, because of our Wrath of the Sea, we can do this as a crashing wave. Let's hit the enemy here. And there you go, we caught the reverberation, we also knocked him to the ground. Unfortunately it doesn't make the enemies wet, but we have other spells we can do that. But again, we can just follow up with our lightning jabber, and let's put some lightning on it this time. So you can really change your weapon types based on what you need. And you'll see your ice mints get some nice attacks of opportunity here because the AI genuinely forgets to disengage. And again with our Dryad, we're going to send them up to try and cause some havoc. So let's see if we can. Oh, unfortunately we didn't make the ensnaring on this enemy. See another big miss on our Druid and another big miss. Now, the Ice Mints have some really cool abilities, so not only can they do regular attacks, they can do Ice Breath, Chromatic Orbs, or a Death Burst, where they can sacrifice themselves to cause some high damage. And like I said, we can do an Ice Breath, so we can close the gap a little bit over here, do our Ice Breath on this enemy, and there you go. Lots of good options with these guys. Of course the Woodwode will send in to just deal some damage. So let's now use some of our abilities. Let's create some water, and we will throw this on here. Just like that. Now we've got everyone wet. Another big hit, as you see, the AI really does forget to disengage from your summons. And now that we've got 2 enemies that are wet, we can really benefit from our other spells. So if we come over here, we have some high level stuff such as a lightning bolt. We'll just do this at the lowest level of level 3. And you can see just how hard we can zap these enemies. And what's awesome is that you see the enemy has only a little bit of health left. We can still do our Wrath of the Sea. Now unfortunately, that has just used all my wild shapes because I pressed the wrong one. You need to do crashing waves, so be very, very careful about that. But we can follow up. We almost tried to kill him, but we didn't get the hit, sadly. And again, you can see we swarmed the enemy here, got them trapped in the corner, and now we can just follow up with some heavy attacks. And hopefully, the Woodwode can pile up some damage here, with a nice big crit taking that enemy out. So you can really use your summons to just split the battlefield in half and really just swarm one enemy. Now again, as you can see, we've got one enemy here, so thanks to the lightning jabber, we can make sure we do massive damage. You can see because of the Wrath of the Sea, we get to ignore the electrified water thanks to our class abilities. We can also fly, so we can now come up here, get enemies within our radius here, and we can try and land another crashing wave. We'll do it on Terse here, and there you go. No need to cause reverberation. You see we got to throw him all the way to the ground. Another big miss, and then we finally got a hit. Now of course, if you like to play tactically, we can use our crashing wave to try and throw enemies to their death. Just like that. You'll see we caused 20 points of damage, which is already crazy as a bonus action, but we got to throw them into the chasm, and they just perished. Okay, you can see we've got one enemy left here, and we still got so many abilities we can do. Now, we haven't really used many, to be honest, because we haven't needed to, which is what's so awesome about this. But if we do Frostbite, we do our cantrip, and unfortunately a big save, but again, we can follow up with that crashing wave, 24 points of damage. And we'll come down here, and it's just time for us to end this fight, and we know we've got 2 chances to. We can come in here with our lightning jabber, and you see just coming near the enemy knock them prone. So this is such a great melee combatant with awesome spellcasting capabilities, all based around the water and lightning and thunder, really maximising your damage output. And of course, you can still wild shape, and with your wild strikes, you'll still gain the elemental attack. You'll also have 3 attacks per round. This is probably the most versatile damage dealing druid subclass there is. So if you really like this, go and check the mod out. I cannot recommend it enough. The Night Domain Cleric is a really fun modded subclass for the Cleric that you can check out right now on PC and console. So let's go over it. We're going to level by level, combat tutorial, and all the items you could need. So of course we start with the Cleric. Now this will give you a bunch of cantrips and spells, but what we get from this is the main spells: Wisdom saving throw proficiency, Charisma saving throw proficiency, Simple, Morningstar, Light Armor, Medium Armor, and Shield proficiencies. For cantrips, we're going to take Resistance, we're going to take Guidance, and we're going to take Sacred Flame. And then for your domain, the Night. You wield the mysterious darkness of night to protect others from threat, or as a shroud for your own wrongdoing. This will give you Eye of Twilight. A divine blessing grants you the ability to see more clearly in the dark. You have dark vision out to a range of 18 meters. Ward of Shadows. Shield yourself with divine shadows. Use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker, possibly causing them to miss their attack. This is huge, especially early game. We gain Sleep as a spell, and Veil of Dusk. Cloak yourself or an ally in a shadowy veil of darkness and silence, granting them a +1 bonus to their armor class and advantage on stealth checks. This is until long rest and concentration based. For your ability points, we're going to have 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Cleric level 2 unlocks our Channel Divinity charge. We also gain Turn Undead and Invocation of Night. Now this does cost a Channel Divinity charge, and essentially you harness the power of the night, clouding the vision of all your foes in a shroud of darkness. All mundane and magical lights are extinguished. Enemies within the radius are possibly blinded for a number of rounds equal to your level in this class. A creature blind in this way gets a new saving throw at the end of each of its turn to remove the effect, ending it early on a success. For spells here, we're going to take Command, Inflict Wounds, Guiding Bolt, Healing Word, and Cure Wounds. And that brings us to Cleric level 3, where we gain more spells we can choose from. We also gain Moonbeam and Darkness as always prepared spells. For a spell here, we're going to add Spiritual Weapon, a nice little bonus action spell to give us a summon. Cleric level 4 unlocks our first feat. We also gain 1 more cantrip, and for this we're going to take Toll the Dead. And then for your feat, we're going to bump our wisdom from 16 to 18. For a spell here, we're going to take Hold Person. This is an incredible spell, really nice way of just controlling the battlefield. Cleric level 5 brings us Destroy Undead. So when you turn an undead successfully, they'll also take 4 to 24 radiant damage. We also gain some other awesome abilities such as Grant Fly and Fear, which will always be prepared in our spellbook. For spells here, we're going to take Spirit Guardians. I think this is a must-have for any cleric, and Mass Healing Word. Cleric level 6 brings us another Channel Divinity charge. We also get improved Eye of Twilight, so now our dark vision is up to 37 meters, and improved Ward of Shadows. So when an enemy attacks an ally, you can use your reaction to wrap it in protective shadows, imposing disadvantage on the attack roll. This is now just an improved version of it. For a spell here, we're going to take the Glyph of Warding. This is an awesome damage dealer, and more importantly, it's not concentration based. Clerics and bards are very heavy in the concentration based spells, so we've got a nice little damage dealer with no concentration. Cleric level 7 unlocks 4th level spell slots. We also gain Stellar Bodies. So we create 2 small stars that orbit around you. They'll deal 1 to 8 radiant damage to melee attackers. As an additional action, we can cause a star to streak towards an enemy, expending it as it explodes in a flash that will deal 4 to 32 radiant damage and possibly blind a target. This is always prepared, and this is an awesome ability. We also have Greater Invisibility. For a spell here, we are going to take the Guardian of Faith, another nice little summon that you can just get on the battlefield. It lasts up to 10 turns, but you won't get 10 turns out of it. It's very unrealistic to expect that. Cleric level 8 brings our second feat. You also get Eye of Twilight Dark Sight. A Divine Blessing grants you the ability to see more clearly in dark. You can see normally in both magical and non-magical darkness to a range of 24 meters. We also have Veil of Dreams, so you gain mastery over magical sleep. You may cast a unique version of sleep with a greater increased hit point threshold. Furthermore, creatures put to sleep using this sleep spell cannot be woken up until the start of your next turn. And if we come in here, it's now up to 38 hit points. For your ability improvement, you probably guessed it, but we're going to max our wisdom out at 20. And for a spell here, we're going to take Banishment. Cleric level 9 brings our 5th level spell slots. We also gain Seeming and Dispel Evil and Good as always prepared spells. For spells here, we're now going to add Flame Strike. I love this as a damage dealer. It's fire and radiant damage, which is awesome. And we're going to add Mass Cure Wounds because we are still a cleric. Cleric level 10 brings Divine Intervention. Now this is a once and done ability. Once per playthrough, you cannot use it ever again. We also gain a cantrip, and for this one we're going to take Bursting Sinew. We gain one more spell at this point, so we're going to take Greater Restoration. Touch a creature and negate any charm, petrification, stun, or curse afflicting it. Cleric level 11 unlocks 6th level spell slots. Now, for this, we only get one 6th level spell slot. I think the best one to take is Planar Ally. Hero's Feast, really good option as well. I just think Planar Ally, having another summon on the battlefield, is awesome. And then Cleric level 12 is our final level. We gain a new feat as well. For the feat, we are going to be taking Alert. And then for a spell here, you can kind of take whatever you want really, because as I said, my option would be Planar Ally. But if you want to take Hero's Feast, you could. If you want to take Heal, you could. If you want to take Harm, you could. Really is dealer's choice for this last spell slot. If you are happy with Planar Ally, then of course you can come down here and take a lower level spell. You can always upcast, like a Prayer of Healing, Aid, Lesser Restoration, something like that. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with the Browbeaten Circlet. So when we're threatened, we'll have a +1 bonus to our spell save DC. The Cloak of Displacement, when we wear this, it will activate at the beginning of our turn, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against us. This, paired with Darkness, is awesome. We can take the Evasive Shoes to give us a +1 to our Acrobatics and Armour class. The UNT Scale Mail, the reason I suggest this is there is something like the Armour of Agility, but both of these have exotic materials. I would save the Armour of Agility for a Dexter-based character, like a Ranger, like a Rogue, that you can use it on, get more out of it. The UNT Scale Mail, medium armour, you gain a +3, it will do the job. We also gain a +1 to our Initiative. For gloves, the Legacy of Masters, strength saving throws +1 and a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons. The Ring of Twilight, so while we're obscured, we'll gain a +1 bonus to our armour class. The Burnished Ring to give us use of Paralysing Ray. The Moondrop Pendant, so if we have 50% hit points or less, we won't provoke opportunity attacks. The Handmaiden's Mace, now what's awesome about this is it has poison damage on it, and it will set our strength to 23, which means we can now use a pretty good weapon, or we can focus back on using a dex weapon, and choice is yours. I think this is awesome though. And Viconia's Walking Fortress. Now you can take any shield really that you like the improvements of, or you like the armor class added of. I just think having Reflective Shell is incredible, and it's a +3 to your AC, sitting us at 23. Now, the first thing we are going to do is we are going to use our 6th level spell slot and summon the Planar Ally. And there's so many options. You have a Dingini, a Deva, or a Cambion. All are really awesome. I usually go with the Deva, but I'm going to shove the Dingini for once. So we'll get this guy. And I think that just fits the whole Night Cleric theme a lot better. So with that being said, let's go find some combat and check this out. Okay, now remember we have our Veil of Dusk, so we can do this and it'll give a +1 to AC, as well as advantage on stealth checks. So let's put this on our Rogue. And there you go, they've now got a nice little +1 to their AC we can now use to survive a little longer in combat. Okay, you can see we're in the combat, so the first thing we are going to do is we're going to get our spiritual weapon. We'll do this at 2nd level and we'll just summon it here. Now remember, like I said, a cleric, lots of their things are concentration based, but what we can do is Invocation of Night. This will cost a Channel Divinity and we can sort of just place this here. And you'll see we have blinded everyone in the area, which is really, really solid, because now, if we move up close, we will be able to start attacking on our next round, and you'll see this is blinded for 12 turns, because that's our level cap. You'll see the enemy can't see anything. And the blind with 2 misses there coming in very helpful. And that brings us to our Dingini. Now the Dingini is awesome. It has so many cool things like Sweet Plum Gales. It's got a Drunken Inhale, Shifting Winds. So let's do a Shifting Wind and we'll teleport up here. Yeah, right here will do. And now we're in prime position. We can smack if we want to. We can do our Sweet Plum Gale. We can do a Drunken Inhale. But we'll just do a very base attack for now. And you'll see we pump out some pretty solid damage as well as acid damage, or poison damage I should say, on top. Okay, our spiritual weapon can of course come in here and do some damage, so let's send them to attack the barbarian. And that's done a solid 9 damage. Now you remember we have our ability of stellar bodies, so we're going to get this going. And there you go, and you'll notice it isn't concentration based, which is amazing. Because that means we can still do something like Spirit Guardians as well and have extra sort of like close radius damage. And as a bonus action, we can just come in here if we want to and give ourselves a little heal. Just top ourselves up, ready for the next round. You'll see our Dingini gets a nice little opportunity attack. The other ability our Dingini has is Drunken Inhale, so if we do this, you'll see we've done a bunch of poison damage to the enemy, and we pulled them in. And of course if we need to, we could shift in winds again and teleport up here, for example. Some pretty good options. You'll see every time the enemy attacks us, taking that radiant damage. And then once again, our spiritual weapon come in here, cause a little bit of chaos, just like that. Now of course we can throw out darkness because we are a night cleric. So you'll see, we have darkness going, but we aren't blinded thanks to our abilities. And once again, if we want to, we could do a healing word, we could do a reflective shell, we can even send out our shrieking star. So if we wanted to, we could send this, we'll do it towards the barbarian. And there you go, blinding him once again, and 18 damage. Now we also have the ability, we can do a gale, and we can restrain enemies within if they fail. Just like that. And once again, our spiritual weapon, come in here, get a nice attack off, just like that. Now you see, we're in our darkness, but like I said, we still have vision. So if we were to do a level 3 guiding bolt, for example, you'll see there is no penalty to us doing that. And of course, we can come in here, mass healing word, and heal all our allies. So we're still a cleric, but we can really utilise the night and the dark to our advantage. You see, nice restrain there. And of course, from here, we can still do our very base attack. Get some huge damage with the Dingini going. Now let's just do a very base attack so you can see our damage output. And there you go, you see 13 damage with some poison damage on top. And we can run back within our darkness. Now our Dingini also has a Thunder Wave, so we can do this and really blast enemies. Really awesome ability. You see the enemy just unable to do anything here because they can't see us. So we've really got them in a nice little choke point here, to the point where we can come in here. We could do a 3rd level guiding bolt, which unfortunately missed. And once again, we can do another Thunder Wave if we want, try and push the enemies into the abyss just like that, just totally get rid of them. And then we can come down here, we can Shifting Wind, and get ourselves set up to attack the enemy from behind over here. Now of course we still got our other spells like Inflict Wounds, so if we upcast this to level 4, you can see it pumps out a huge amount of damage. Now the other ability we have is the very special version of Sleep. So we can do this and we can target people up to a certain amount of hit points depending on what we choose. So let's go for 54 hit points just to make sure we put everyone to sleep. And there we go. Everyone is now in a deep sleep and they will not be awoken until the start of our next turn. As you can see there. Which means we can come in here and we'll take Skeeve here and we can just get some nice crits. And of course, we're still a cleric, like I keep saying, so we can do our cantrips, such as Toll the Dead, and get some huge damage going. So the Night Cleric is really awesome. You can put yourselves in darkness to just protect yourself. You have the Radiant Stars, which you can pair really nicely with things like Spirit Guardians. Get yourself a summon like the Dingini, and overall, you can just put people to sleep, get a round of healing in if you need to, set yourselves up into the correct positions, get away from danger. Lots of awesome fun things. The Paramour subclass for the Dancer is kind of like a bard hybrid with a rogue, I guess? Essentially, it's all about charming enemies while still being able to deal some damage. So let's go over it. We're going to go level by level, comment tutorial on all the items you will need. So of course, we start with the Dancer, and this will give you a Rhythmic Rally. So as a bonus action, you can inspire your allies through dance to give them an extra action this turn. There's also Harmonious Hustle, which gives us a +2 bonus to initiative, helping boost us up the turn order. Now when it comes to spells, the first two I would pick would be Melodic Mentor. Inspire your allies through dance and help up downed characters, or remove burning, ensnared, entangled, enwebbed, prone, and sleeping, which is huge at level 1. Rhythmic Guidance really fits the theme of this class, and 1d4 bonus to ability checks outside of combat is awesome. When it comes to ability points, we're going to have 8 strength, 16 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 16 charisma, this being your spellcasting modifier. And then finally, for your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Dancer level 2 brings us some more spells, and for this we are going to take Fairy Fire, so we can turn invisible enemies visible and give our allies attack roll advantage on anyone that is lit up. And we'll pair this very nicely with Healing Words, so we have some healing capabilities. It's at level 3 we get to pick our specialization. Before that though, we get 2 more spells. So for this we will take Cure Wounds, more healing capability, and we'll take Charm Person, as this also fits this subclass amazingly. And then for the subclass, as I said, we are going to Paramour, as I picked the wrong thing. Paramours use their dances to improve a single ally's abilities while they mesmerize the enemy. So this will give you a luring aura. With your charm, you are far more convincing than most. And Lover's Lash. Put a creature 6 meters closer to you and charm them. So this is a hybrid of Charm and Thorn Whip. Pretty awesome cantrip. Dancer level 4 brings a first feat for us, and it takes 2 to tango. So you become dance partners with an ally. Gain advantage on all saving throws and attack rolls, so you can really basically pair yourself together with someone, and you'll see how you both get buffs from this. So we get to pick some dances. Now there's a few options here. We have Dance Cha-Cha, which give both people, you and your dance partner, a +9 to movement. We have Salsa. Now in the text box it says a +3 to attack rolls and damage. It isn't, it's the same as all the other subclasses. It's a +3 to armor class, and we will be taking this one. Vogue, which will give you both an extra action this turn. Break, which will be you both get +3 to attack rolls and damage. Mosh, so you can both attack an enemy as a reaction to getting hit. Samba, both gain an extra bonus action. And then finally Hula, where you both heal for 8 health every turn. So as I said, we are starting with Salsa for that +3 to armor class. Now we get to pick another spell at this point, and Misty Step is the one to take so we can get around the battlefield. And then for your feat, we are going to take the ability improvement and bump our charisma up to 18. Dancer level 5 brings a new cantrip for us to use, and for this one I do think Vicious Mockery is awesome. We get to pick one more spell, and for this one I really do like the Ray of Enfeeblement. Weaken a foe, they deal half damage with weapon attacks using strength, awesome on things like barbarians, fighters, people that can hit really hard. Dancer level 6 brings Free Flow, so we don't provoke opportunity attacks now by moving. And Brilliant Belly Dance. Entrance a foe with your stunning dance, drawing them towards you and increasing your dex and charisma by +2. Now this is concentration, so bear that in mind, but it's a nice way of just boosting your stats up. We get one more spell here, and we are going to take Paramour Persuasion. So entrance an enemy and force them to join your side. They will take 2 to 8 psychic damage immediately and 1 to 6 psychic damage per turn. This lasts for 4 turns. On a save, the target will still take the damage, they just won't be charmed. Dancer level 7 brings us a new dance to pick from, and for this one we are going to take Vogue, so we both gain an extra action. That brings us to Dancer level 8, where we get our next feat. Before that, however, we do gain a new spell, and for this we are going to take the Siren Song, luring men and women with your entrancing voice. This is essentially a nice way of doing like a traditional tank ability, or a taunt ability I should say, in an RPG. And if you pair yourself with like fighter or barbarian, you could really get those cleaves out, those extra attacks, all sorts. Maybe even drop an AoE. So for the feat, we are going to take the ability improvement and max our charisma out at 20. Dancer level 9 brings Serene Stretch, so we can take a second to sit down and stretch because we deserve it. We will recover 1 dance step and some health. Dance steps obviously being what we need to do our abilities. We get another spell at this point, and I really do like Hypnotic Pattern for this build. Dancer level 10 brings a ravishing rumba. Your dedication to your dance partner really shows. Gain resistance to all damage when dancing with a partner. This is a massive power spike. We gain one more dance, and I do think it's really worthwhile taking the extra bonus action. If you really want to take the +2 to attack rolls and damage, you could. Kind of interchangeable here, whichever one you want to use. It kind of depends on who you're having as your dance partner. For example, if you're going to pair yourself with a rogue who can use their offhand, then having an extra bonus action for another attack could be helpful. If not, if you're going with a fighter, +3 damage over 3 attacks is an extra 9. Pretty useful too. For a spell here, we're going to take Confusion. Again, really fits the theme of this build. Dancer level 11 brings a new spell, and for this one we are going to take Dominate Person, a awesome ability to use. Dancer level 12 brings a new feat, and we gain one more spell, and for this one I really do like taking Blindness. This is so helpful at times. And then for the ability improvement, we're going to bump ourselves up with Alert. +5 bonus to initiative, and cannot be surprised. If you want to, you could boost your dex to 18, choice is really yours, but I think the quicker we can go and the quicker we can get Dance Partner, the quicker we can get all this set up. Okay, let's go over our equipment, and we start with Birthright to give you a +2 to your Charisma, and it can push you above your max of 20 to 22. We take the Flesh Melter Cloak, so that we take melee damage. The creature attacking us will take 1 to 4 acid damage. The Space Hunt boost gives us Dimension Door. Why I've gone for this is if you have a dance partner who's near you, you can both use Dimension Door. Pretty awesome way to get you both around the battlefield. We're going to go with the Studded Leather Armour as light armour for 1 less bludgeoning damage and a +1 to our initiative, ensuring we're as high up the turn order as possible. The Helldusk Gloves to give us a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spells save DC, and 1 to 6 fire damage on our weapon attacks. The Ring of Mind Shielding to ensure that we cannot be charmed. The Burnished Ring to give us a use of Paralysing Ray. The Amulet of Greater Health. Now why I've gone for this is advantage on Constitution saving throws to help with our concentration, and it will set our Constitution to 23. So if you want to respec and dump your con to 8, boost up something else like your Wisdom, your Dex, your Strength, you really can. For a weapon, we've gone with Bloodthirst, improves our critical number by 1, and we can hit, we can give creatures vulnerability when we hit them with piercing damage with this. And then any shield will do just to give us some extra AC. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and check it out. Okay, we've started the combat and you can see we're top of the turn order. So we need to get ourselves a dance partner. That is the key thing about playing as the Paramour. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Dance Partner Vogue. And we're going to benefit from pairing this with Lae'zel. So now both of us get an extra action on the next turn. And you can see it did use 2 of our dance-like abilities. But again, if we need to, we can regen these by using our class ability. Now because we've done that, we still have the option for other abilities. So let's do Paramour Persuasion, as I picked the wrong button. Paramour Persuasion, we'll do this at 3rd level, and let's try and charm the Barbarian into joining our side. Now unfortunately I made their save, but they did still take the psychic damage. And as you can see, we now have Lae'zel, so we can really benefit from being dance partners with the Paramour, because we effectively have a use of Action Surge. As you can see, we can keep dominating the battlefield. And when paired with something like Great Weapon Master, we can even use an attack as our bonus action. And then if we really wanted to, we could Action Surge, just like that, and you can pump out 10 attacks in 1 round. Now unfortunately we don't have a bow. Can I do a rush attack or something like that? No. But you get the gist here, like there are so many awesome options for us. Okay, so it's back to the Paramour's turn, and as you can see, we kind of are in a situation where we've decimated a lot of the enemies already on round 1. So what we're going to do is we are going to do our Siren Song. We'll do this at level 4. I can feel my controller rumbling, so it's doing something. I promise. And there you go. And as you can see, we've done our Luring Song for all of them. From here, we also have the ability to still do our main action, as that counts as. So from here, again, we have so many awesome abilities, but we are concentrating, so bear that in mind before doing this. So what we could do a Vicious Mockery, for example, put this on the Barbarian, and there you go. Now you'll see we are still voguing, so we get 1, we get 2, we get 3. and we still get that extra action. So we can keep pumping out these attacks. And that is why the Paramour is so powerful, because depending on who you make your dance partner, you can decimate enemies. If this is a boss fight and you're against Orin, you can do 6 attacks against Orin every single round. And of course, like I said, with Great Weapon Master, we can get that 7th. But Action Surgeon, we can get a maximum of 9 attacks in a round. Or 10 attacks in a round, sorry, if you pair this with Great Weapon Master. And there you go, you'll see what I was saying about the lore. Draws enemies towards you. Very much like the Harpies. So of course when you draw them towards you, it allows your allies to get in close and strike. And that also means we can get in and strike, causing that vulnerability to piercing damage, and because we gain an extra action, we can pump out 2 attacks. And then really it is just a case of already ending the fight. Now if we want to, we can end our turn here. The enemy is still being lured towards us, so they can't do anything, and we have completely nullified the battlefield. Okay, so we deliberately broke our concentration. We're going to come up here, and we're going to show off our brilliant belly dance, which is just here. When it works, once again I can feel the controller rumbling, so it is doing something. And there you go. So we've lured the enemy towards us, and because of brilliant belly dance, we gain a +2 to our dex and charisma. So we come to our stats here. You'll see the charisma doesn't really matter because we're already maxed out, but our dex is now an 18. And of course that still frees up our action. So again, if we want to, we could throw out a Raise of Fire, we could do another Vogue, lots of awesome abilities. Or we can give ourselves a Salsa. So we can once again target someone, so let's target Shadowheart. So instead of now being paired with Lae'zel, giving her and us an extra attack, we're now paired with Shadowheart, and we both gain a +3 to attack and damage rolls. And you'll see because of Belly Dance, the character will chase us, leading them right into our dance partner, allowing us to strike. And of course we also gain a benefit from having that, which means we can also strike. And we still have other things we can do. For example, we can do our Rhythmic Rally. So we can use this, put this on Lae'zel if we want to. You'll see we still have 5 points. And as a bonus action, we can give her another extra action without being her dance partner, and it doesn't cost anything. So you can really use the dances and Rhythmic Rally to your advantage as well. If you don't want to Vogue to give you both an extra action, you can give yourself and one of your characters more AC, for example, and then as a bonus action, you could give your fighter the extra action still, so you can still pump out multiple attacks every round, but you have more protection, and maybe your wizard has more protection too.
I won't give in.
Then at this point, it really is just a case of ending the fight, and that is how easily the Paramour can just dominate the battlefield. We didn't even use things like Fairy Fire to give advantage on attacks. We didn't use Rare Enfeeblement, we didn't use Charm Person, nothing like that. So this is probably one of the most impressive and awesome battlefield controlling subclasses I've ever seen. But it does depend on your team composition. For example, if you had Shadowheart, a Rogue, and Jaheira, probably not as strong. You would have seen that in my previous build guide for the Cheerleader. So using this one as an example of sort of like min-maxing your party really shows just how easily you can dominate everyone and end fights. The invocation of Power Invoker is very different to Speed, whereas that was all about being able to do multiple actions per round. This is all about increasing your damage output with evocation spells and being able to use medium armor to tank yourself up. So let's go over it. We're going level by level, combat tutorial, all the items you will need, and we start of course with the Evoker mod. Now that will give you Dex and Intelligence saving throw proficiency, as well as simple weapon and light armor proficiencies. When it comes to cantrips, we're going to start with Shockwave, and we're going to start with Eruption, probably my 2 favourite spells on this list here. When it comes to ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, 10 Charisma. For proficiencies, take what fits your roleplay. Evoker level 2 brings your specialization as well as potent cantrip. So, when a creature succeeds at saving throw against one of your cantrips, it will still take half the amount of damage but no other additional effects, meaning your cantrips will always deal some form of damage to enemies. And then from here we get to pick our subclass and of course the Invocation Power. You concentrate your magic and focus on honing the toughest body. So this way we pick up medium armor proficiency. We're going to take something with exotic materials, so the more dex we have, the better. And as an action, we can do shove down. Try to push a target away and knock them prone. Your chances depend on your athletics, and are higher if you're hidden or invisible. The shove distance depends on your strength and the target's weight. This is a bonus action. Invoker level 3 brings our next cantrip, and for this one we are going to be coming down here and taking the Venom Fang. So fire a biting sting of venom, poisoning the target for 1 turn. Because we're going to be in melee a lot, this works awesome. Invoker level 4 brings our first feat, and for this one we're going to take the ability improvement and bump our intelligence up to 18. Invoker level 5 only brings us a health increase. At level 6 we gain the ability to cast slow, meaning we can target up to 6 creatures and slow them. Their movement and actions are affected, and their AC and Dex are reduced by 2. This is a concentration-based spell. Level 7 brings Cataclysm, which is an awesome spell. Huge fire and force damage, and targets everyone in a huge radius. We also pick up one more cantrip, and for this one I would take Sudden Bolt. Strike a creature with lightning, leave them shocked for 2 turns. Invoker level 8 brings our second feat, and you probably guessed it, but we're maxing our intelligence out at 20. Level 9 allows us the class feature of Invoke Resistance Aura. We can choose a damage type and create an aura to grant us resistance and nearby allies to that certain damage type. Again, this is a bonus action to use. Invoker level 10, we get a huge power spike in Empowered Invocation. Your grasp of evocation magic has tightened, and you add your intelligence modifier to the damage rolls with any evocation spells. Invoker level 11 brings a new cantrip, and for this one there are so many really good options, but I personally really like Winter's Breath. And our final level, level 12, brings our final feat, and for this one we're going to take the ability improvement and bump our dex up to 18. Okay, when it comes to equipment, we are going to start with the Circlet of Mental Anguish. When an enemy fails a Charisma, Intelligence or Wisdom save against one of your spells or cantrips, we'll regain 1 to 4 hit points. The Flesh Melter Cloaks, if we take melee damage, the creature attacking us will take 1 to 4 acid damage. The Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. The Armour of Agility, now any medium armour here will work that has exotic materials, just so we get to add the +4 from our dex to this, and as you can see we're currently rocking 23 armour class. For gloves, the Quick Spell Gloves, cantrips that cost an action, cost a bonus action instead. This is once per long rest, but essentially we can fire 2 cantrips in 1 round. The Caustic Band to give us 2 acid damage on our weapon attacks. The Burnish Ring for use of Paralysing Ray. The Amulet of Misty Step. Now I think Misty Step is an invaluable spell on basically anyone. And I think having it on this, get you in and out of danger, get you up to a high point, whatever you need, I think it's just 100% worth it. For weapons, I've gone with the Handmaiden's Mace. This will set your strength to 18. Really useful for not only outside of combat but also inside of combat, and it deals bludgeoning and poison damage. And then we compare this with a shield. Any shield will do, whether you like the passives on it or +3, +4 to your armor class. So take what you need here. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and check this out. Okay, you can see we are in the combat and we are top of the turn order. So the first thing we're going to get going is slow, and we'll target as many people as we can to try and slow everyone if possible. It looks like we can only see 4 out of 6 though, but that's okay. So these guys now have their movement reduced, but also their dex and their AC. And then from here, if we were to come under here for a little bit of shelter, we can then find our glass, and now we can do a spell as a cantrip. So for example, we could throw out a eruption and target a bunch of people and spread Hellfire Curse. And you'll see just how slow the enemies walk. And by hitting us, not only do we maintain concentration, they took acid damage. Now let's show off our actual melee capabilities, and we come in here, and you see we can deal some pretty hefty damage and spread poison. So this is so good at spreading so many different stats effects. And if we want to, as a bonus action, we can shove down, try and knock an enemy prone. And there you go, throw them away, and we know because they're slow, going to take a while to get to us, we can sort of keep our distance. You see the enemy hitting us, but still taking more damage in return. And that leaves us in a position where we can start throwing out some more abilities. So So for example, we could do a shockwave, taking out those enemies there. Now unfortunately you do get friendly fire, so please bear that in mind. You can see it takes a good chunk out of enemies. And then once again, if we need to, we could shove down, just keep throwing the enemy away. Now we also have some big spells. So if we come over here, we have Eruption, or sorry, Cataclysm. So if we target Runt with this, you'll see all the damage it does to everyone around. And you see landing that stunned meant they skipped their turn again. So of course we can sort of come in here, if we want to. We've got so many awesome abilities. We'll take a swing, take that enemy out, and you'll see we just pump out so much great melee damage, as well as the capability to have all these incredible spells. And then if we want to, get back in here, and we can shove the Barbarian. If it will let me pick it, it won't for some reason. There we go, towards everyone else, just like that. Alright, so let's start trying to finish this fight off. We will throw out a Winter's Breath. You can see it just about reaches. And there you go, you see once again some pretty big damage and Frostbite. If we come in here, when it comes to Frostbite, 1 to 4 damage when attacking with a weapon. And there you go, you see 2 rounds of Frostbite there because they attack twice. And now it's just a time to basically throw around some spells and end the fight. So we'll get Sudden Bolt down on Runt here. And then we'll get ourselves Misty Stepped, thanks to our amulet, and bring us to a high point up here, ready to strike down on the others on top of the other rooftop. And now we can really benefit from using our spells and weapon in conjunction. So for example, if I come down here, we know that they're going to take shots at us every round, so we get that Winter's Breath going. Just like that, get that Frostbite spread. And there you can see her taking 4 damage, and then 6 damage because they can still take a hit from, crit from Frostbite. So it's basically 3 damage every round. And then of course that's not the only thing we have. For example, if we come in here, we can do a shockwave, blast these guys here, take that damage, and then thanks to our class abilities, because the enemy is on the ledge, nice little shove down, and throw them to their demise. So this is an awesome melee spellcaster that just has high damage dealing cantrip. Using this weapon setup, you can deal a bunch of high melee damage, and regardless of what you use, you will put some sort of stats effect on the enemy. This genuinely might be the most powerful spellcaster mod I've ever come across, and it is awesome. Let's go over it. It is the Red Witch. There is no subclasses, it is a one and done. So let's jump in, level by level, combat destroying all the items you will need. So of course we start with the Red Witch modded class, and this will give us Hex Bolt. Now this is a 1d4 bonus action that is always prepared. Curse your foes in the most unsubtle way possible, a beam of force, and weakening them to your other abilities by inflicting disadvantage on strength, dex, con, intelligence, and wisdom saves. That is a huge debuff immediately from level 1. Chaos Volley, let loose a barrage of pure unadulterated arcane force, 3d4 plus 9 damage as well. This does cost a dark favour. And Red Witch's Madness, nuttier than a fruitcake, but you keep it well hidden most of the time. We will see this hopefully when we get into the actual combat. When it comes to cantrips, we are going to start with Bursting Sinew, so we can explode a corpse, causing it to impale those around it. Ray of Frost, we have some cold damage at range. Guidance, so we have some ability help outside of combat. And Shock and Grasp, so we have some melee capability. For spells, we're going to take probably the best 2 spells at level 1 in my opinion, which is Magic Missile, as this will never miss, and Thunderwave to knock enemies off of beams, balconies, ledges, all sorts to take full damage, maybe even completely perish. For ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution to help with your concentration saves, 16 Intelligence as this is your spellcasting modifier, 10 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever fits your roleplay. Red Witch level 2 brings Chaos Volley 2, so this is now upgraded to a 4d4 plus 12. And now we have Dark Ritual. So appeal to Ancient Ones for power, restoring up to 4 Dark Favours, you'll need a corpse. And of course Dark Favours is what you need to cast these Chaos Volleys and stuff. Now from here we get to pick 2 more spells, and for me personally I would take Ray of Sickness, fits the theme of the build, can also poison targets. And Inflict Wounds because you can upcast this as a melee spell and it will deal huge damage. Red Witch level 3 brings Armour of Agatha. So beseech Agatha to watch over you, a +2 to AC, damage resistance and retribution on reaction. She sees you when you're sleeping. This is again a bonus action, always prepared, and it does cost Dark Favours. Now here we get to pick 2 spells, so we're going to go with Mirror Image to create those duplicates that will give us at max a +9, reducing by 3 for every time you have a hit miss against you. And we're going to take Hold Person, as this is a surefire way to end fights early. Any humanoids that do end up still can't move, react, or act, and any attacks within 3 meters are always critical hits. So if you can hold a bunch of people on the battlefield and have a fighter with loads of extra attacks, and a barbarian with loads of extra attacks, you can basically decimate people with crit after crit after crit. Red Witch level 4 brings our first feat. We also gain Hexbolt 2, so now this is upgraded to a 2d4, not a 1d4, and you still get the weakening on abilities like Strength, Dex, Con, Intelligence, and Wisdom. Chaos Volley is now upgraded to a 5d4 plus 15, and it now costs 2 Dark Favours. And we get to pick some more spells, so we are going to take Misty Step to help us get around the battlefield, get us out of danger when we need to. And we'll take the Ray of Enfeeblement. Again, I think this just fits really well. Weaken a foe, they deal half damage with weapon attacks using Strength. For Ability Improvement here, we are going to take the Ability Improvement and bump our Intelligence up to 18. Red Witch level 5 brings Witch's Flight, which now means as a bonus action using a Dark Favour we can fly. We gain Haplophobic Eruption. I know I butchered how to pronounce that. Something has invaded your personal space. Expel everything in a 4-meter vicinity with explosive force. Too close, back off. I will show you this in combat. It's a level 1 spell, 3d6 plus 4, and costs a Dark Favour. Now we get to pick more spells, so we are going to take counter spells, so we have some battlefield control and we can nullify other spellcasters. And we're going to take Glyph of Warding, as this is awesome. Usually you place it on the ground, enemy walks into it and it will trigger, doing some sort of effect. However, in this game you can actually place it on top of a bunch of enemies and it will trigger at the end of your turn because people are within it, and you can kind of use it like a bomb. Red Witch level 6 brings Chaos Volley 4, so now this is upgraded to a 64 plus 24. And Dark Ritual 2. So now, instead of restoring 4 Dark Favours, you can restore 6, but you'll still need a corpse. We get 2 more spells, and again, loads of options here, but for this we will take Vampiric Touch, as I think it just fits really well. And we're going to take Sleet Storm, so we can nullify enemy spellcasters as well. Red Witch level 7 brings Hexbolt 3, so now this is a 3d4 worth of damage, as well as all the other benefits. Willful Step, so propel yourself forward in a tunnel of force, battering aside any in your way. On a save, targets will still take half damage, costs a Dark Favour, and uses a bonus action. We get more spells, and for this one we are going to take Conjure Woodland Being, as a Red Witch I feel like you would have a bunch of summons, this fits that. And we'll take Edvar's Black Tentacles, as this is one of my favourite spells in the game. It made my top 10 list like a year ago when I did this, and it's still on there. Tentacles will sprout from the ground, turn the air into difficult terrain, attacking and smothering creatures within. This works really well if you have 2 spellcasters, one to do Edvar's Black Tentacles to hold people still, and then you throw like a Cloud Kill on top and just decimate people. Level 8 brings our second feat, and Chaos Volley 5, which is now a 7d4 plus 28 worth of damage, still 2 Dark Favour. We get more spells, and for this one I would personally take Phantasmal Killer, and we're going to take Knock to give us some more use outside of combat. For the ability improvement, we're going to take Intelligence to the max of 20. Red Witch level 9, Dark Ritual 3. Now, for 4 turns you can appeal to a corpse to restore up to 8 Dark Favours. We get in Reality Implosion, so for 2 Dark Favours we can open fissures to another reality that pull everyone nearby towards them with crushing force for 5 turns, but this may cause anomalies. Now we gain more spells at this point, and personally I would take Destructive Wave, a huge amount of thunder and radiant damage, and people will still take half damage on a save, and if they don't take half damage they could possibly knock prone. And we're going to pair this very nicely with Cloud Kill. This is an awesome spell. Not only is it high damage with a 5d8, but you can reposition the cloud every turn. What this means is, without expending a spell slot, you can move this around to track enemies, continuously dealing huge poison damage. Red Witch level 10 brings Hexbolt 4, so it's now a 4d4, and Chaos Volley 6, which is now 8d4 plus 40. And as you can see here, it may chain to others nearby. Still only 2 dark favours though. We get more spells at this point, and for this one I would personally take Dominate Person. I feel like this fits the theme of a Red Witch very, very well. And then it's kind of a little bit like Dealer's Choice. There are some really good options here still. You've got things like Create or Destroy Water. You have things like Animate Dead, which I would personally hold off for until you get to the weapon or equipment guide. You've got things like Remove Curse, which could be handy for outside of combat. Banishment. I am going to take Contagion, just because we compare this very nicely with the reduction on Strength, Dex, Con, Intelligence, and Wisdom checks. Red Witch level 11 brings new spells, and as you can see here, we have some high level ones. So for this, we are going to take Otto's Irresistible Dance, because this is probably my favourite spell in the game. You can land this on pretty much anyone, or I'm pretty sure it lands on everyone. Gortash, Orin. Basically what will happen is they'll start dancing, we will have advantage on attack rolls against them, the dancer has disadvantage on attack rolls and dex saves, and you can really nullify enemy bosses like this. This helped me wipe out Gortash so easily. And playing our ally, because we're going to build up those summons to go alongside our woodland beings. And then finally, Red Witch level 12 brings our final feat. We also gain more spells, so at this point we will take Disintegrate, huge 50 to 100 force damage, and then again it really is a dealer's choice here. I'm going to take Banishment just for the sake of it, but take whatever really fits your fancy here. And then for your feat we are going to take Dual Wielder, so we can use 2 staffs, and it will also give us a +1 bonus to our armor class. Okay, when it comes to equipment, we're going to start with the Hood of the Weave to give us a +2 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. We're going to take the Cloak of Displacement. This will activate, granting enemies disadvantage against us until we get hit. What's awesome about this is it will help protect your concentration. We're going to take the Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. The Robe of the Weave for a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, +2 our armor class, and when we succeed a saving throw against a spell, we'll regain 1 to 6 hit points. To tank ourselves up even more, we're going to take the Braces of Defense for another +2 bonus to AC. The Burnish Ring for use of Paralyzing Ray. The Crypt Lord Ring so we can create Undead, again building up those summons. The Amulet of Greater Health, now this is optional. You could go with the Elemental Augmentation, that will give you bonus damage to your cantrips. You could also use this and then just dump your con and boost your wisdom, your charisma, whatever. But obviously you don't get this until the end of the game. But this will give you advantage on constitution saving throws and improve your health pool. And as you can see, we are rocking 122 hit points. And then for staffs, we have gone with Marker Share and the Staff of Spell Power. Both give you a +1 bonus to your spell save DC and spell attack rolls, as you can see here. And both give you Arcane Battery, which means you get a free spell slot of any choice. Meaning we get 2 free spell slots, meaning we can cast 2 high level spells for nothing. Why is that so helpful? Well, we only have 1 6th level spell slot, and effectively now we have 3 of them. So before we jump into the combat, let's get our summons going, and we are going to get our planar ally. Now, as you can see, this would use our 6th level spell slot, but thanks to Arcane Battery, we're going to trigger this. That's Mirror Image. We're going to get planar ally, and you have a bunch of options. I think the Cambion fits the best for the Red Witch. Obviously, you've got 3 choices, take what you want. And then once you've got that, we are going to find our woodland being, just here. We're going to summon this at level 4. And what's awesome about the Dryad is she has her own summon, the Fallen Lover, meaning we get a Wood Woad, so we get 2 summons for 1 spell slot. And if we come back to our Red Witch, as you can see here, we still have our 6th level spell slot available, and we still have 1 use of Arcane Battery. So, let's go find some combat and check this out. Okay, you can see we're in the combat, and our Cambion is top of the turn order. So, we can use the Cambion to distract people as a summon. So if we fly up here, you'll see we're now in range of this archer, and we've got a few things we can do. We can do Fiendish Charm, Draining Kiss, we've got some regular attacks, we can do Raise of Fire, a Rush attack, which is the main hand attack for now. And of course he missed. Okay, our Dryad is awesome because the Dryad actually has the capability to entangle or ensnare enemies, whichever one it is. By doing that, and unfortunately they did make their save, but you can see the damage is pretty decent base level. However, what we can do is actually strengthen the Shillelagh as a bonus action, and that will give you more damage, which you'll see on the next run. And of course that brings us to our Red Witch. Now, unfortunately we don't quite have enough movement to get in range to do our line attack, but what we do have is all our Red Witch abilities. So if we come sort of here, we know we have our eruption, and you can see the radius on this. It will fling loads of things. So, and there you go. Now, he is entangled and dazed because of that, and as you can see, the spellcaster got flung and just outright died. It's very, very powerful. And of course, we still have our Hex Bolt. We have our Willful Step, which is what will propel us forward. So if we did that as a bonus action, and there you go. So these abilities are so powerful. And of course, our Woodwode is also a heavy hitter. We can send him in and deal some damage, just like that. And this is what's awesome about your summons, is they can act like really good meat shields on the battlefield. Which brings us very nicely back to our Cambion, and this time we'll do our Blaze of Fire, and we'll hit Sledge. Just like that. And again with our Dryad we can attempt to ensnare. Now unfortunately we did miss, that's sad. Now you can see we have the enemy down here. Now unfortunately we are ensnared, but we have our Chaos Volley. And you can actually do this to as many targets as you want, so you can split your damage. Just like this, so it's kind of like your version of Magic Missile. And also if you target all on one character, you are going to deal some hefty damage. And because of that, once again, we could Misty Step, so we'll Misty Step and we'll come up here. And I can show you just how awesome some of these abilities are. See, the Woodwode gets a nice opportunity attack. And again, we can just use the heavy attacks of the Woodwode to strike our foes. With our Cambion, we are going to move him up here, just to get him out of the way of danger, and again, we'll just do a basic Raise of Fire on Sledge. And there you go. You can see our Cloak of Displacement coming in amazing there to protect us from 2 hits. And then once again, coming in clutch there to stop us getting hit. Now, let's try and ensnare the Barbarian with our hefty attack. If I can't make it round, so we'll just hit Skeeve here, hopefully. And there you go, you see we actually did 20 damage with that hit, so twice as much when you do your Strengthened Shillelagh.
Still on my feet.
Now, we've already shown off the abilities of our propulsions, but once again, we still have a bunch of these available. So again, if we were to do our Eruption, you can see we can actually throw enemies off of buildings just like that. And that's where this really comes in helpful, because you can use this as a version of like Thunderwave to deal mass damage, and even if that doesn't work, you're still going to throw enemies around the battlefield. You saw how much damage Sparks took just from flying from here to here. It's very, very powerful. And we haven't even used half our high level spells, we've only used our Red Witch abilities so far. So again, we'll use our Woodwode to chip away at the Barbarian, just like that. And we'll move around here to give our Dryad some space. Our Cambion, again, awesome ability to be able to fly, so we can send him down here to deal with this character, and he gets a nice opportunity attack. The Dryad, again, we can use these guys to deal some damage, and there you go. Unfortunately there's no ensnaring though, and like I said, we have some really high level spells, so if we were to trigger our Arcane Battery, we could do Otto's Irresistible Dance. So if we landed this, we'll throw it on... No, we won't, because we can't see any of the characters because of our ensnaring. That's really unhelpful. So instead what we'll do is we will do our Chaos Volley, and I'm hoping we can potentially break our ensnaring by targeting everything to decimate that enemy. And you'll see the ones that didn't hit that enemy immediately darted to the Barbarian here. And of course, that means we can come down here. We've only got a bonus action left, unfortunately. So for this, we'll just do the Arm of Agatha. And there we go. Now, there's no point us doing Otto's Irresistible Dance, you've probably seen it before, so what we'll do is we'll just try to finish this fight. I used my Arcane Battery unfortunately on Chaos Volley, that was silly, didn't mean to do that. But we still have our 6th level spell slots, so that's okay. And what we'll do is we'll try and hit them with Reality Implosion. Now, this is obviously going to hurt our allies, but we might as well show this off. You place 2 down, and as you can see, you do cause some huge chaos, get a bunch of friendly fire, and Unfortunately, we did turn our Dryad into a wheel of cheese. These things happen. But of course from here, we can do our Hex Bolt, and we'll just target a Barbarian, and give him the Red Witch's Curse, which, if we come in here, you will remember, is the reduction to strength, or sorry, disadvantage to Strength, Dex, Con, Intelligence, and Wisdom saves. And as you can see, that Implosion is still just doing wonders, and now we've also turned the Woodwode into something. Just down here. It's into a frog, that's what we've done. And as you can see, this ability will just cause absolute chaos on the battlefield. So then at this point, it is just a case of finishing the fight, so we'll do this through a use of our chaos. When I can actually select the right thing. Or not, we can't see anyone. Okay, oh, you'll see the enemy has been banished and frozen. And slowed. So yeah, we kind of just let this do its thing, and we'll run away as far as we can over here, because shit is still going crazy. Yeah. So this is a awesome mod. It is so powerful. You could probably argue overpowered, but it's just so fun. As you can see from all these implosions still happening. Yeah. It's just phenomenal. So I really hope you have enjoyed this mod. If you have, please drop me a like and check out the mod maker, because this is probably the most fun I've had with a mod that comes to mind, to be honest. If you're already, please subscribe to the channel as well. I've got more guides to Baldur's Gate, to Elden Ring, Path of Exile, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, Dragon Age, basically all the amazing RPGs you could ever need. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.